trying to see the glasses half full. But I'm an everything or not girl, and I'm not feeling like myself today. Today I'm out of commission. Tell my friends that I've gone fishing. I'm somewhere far away. I cannot be reached today. Today I'm out of commission, but I'll be back, so don't go missing me in a day or two or three. I'll come back, you see.
A lot, like how I view songwriting is more so like song receiving, if that makes sense. Like I feel like a lot of songwriting, at least my songs that I end up liking the most, are kind of like they just come out all at once, and so I don't even like think too far into them. For me, it's more so like therapeutic a lot of the time.
Hello, welcome to the show. This is And If Love Remains. My name is Mike Levitt. I'm your host, and I am with Grace Gonzalez. Grace is a singer-songwriter out of Nashville, and amazing talent, and a lot of fun. She just released a new song called Out of Commission. So welcome to the show, Grace.
Thank you so much, and thanks for that intro. I am excited to be here.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have you. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about this song. Now, let's start with a little bit of background. Like, how long have you been in Nashville?
So I moved here 2013? So right after high school, I came here for college. I went to Belmont University. And so I think I've been here like almost 7 years. Wait, yeah, almost 7 years. That's crazy.
That is crazy. And was the reason to get into the music business? Was that your thought process?
Yeah, definitely. So I knew I wanted to be in Nashville, and I also knew I wanted to go to college. So I felt like it was kind of the perfect combination. So
Right.
yeah, I definitely wanted to be in Nashville to pursue music, but I studied marketing and music business while at Belmont, so I could like learn tools to pursue music.
And has that been a help to you? Are you glad you did that?
Yeah, I think so. I think despite studying, marketing and music business, I still, when you're in Nashville, especially at Belmont, there are artists everywhere. And
Right.
if you're like even just hanging out by the gazebos or something, like you're gonna run into someone who's a musician. And so it was very easy to still network and very much be in the musician world, even though I was studying something else. So I think it worked really well, and I loved my time at Belmont. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. And would you like, I kind of think of you as part of like the indie scene. Is that how you would consider yourself? It's like the indie singer-songwriter genre?
I think so. Yeah. I would consider myself a part of like indie folk, alternative country, Americana. Like
Yeah.
those are probably the main three. I mean, and singer-songwriter kind of is like a definition, like a pretty vague definition, but
Right.
yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Mhm.
Okay, that's great. And so talk to me about some of the things you did in Nashville, some of the projects you worked on, and a few of the the guys, some of the cats you got to hang around with and play with.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, there's just been so many different things. I'm trying to think.
Right.
Um, well, with my time at Belmont, I met a bunch of people. Man, I'm trying to just so many people. Some cool experiences though, where I played their country showcase, which was cool. And their Battle of the Bands, which was awesome too. Like definitely high honors. I was excited to play those. But some of the cool people I've met have been like my scene of people that I kind of work with here. I work with a lot of the guys in Waker, which is a rock soul band in Nashville. And so They plan a lot of my stuff, and they're awesome guys. You should check them out if you have not heard of them.
Right on.
So they're awesome. And also, actually, my pursuit of like working with people led me outside of Nashville. I don't know if you know, I went to Mobile, Alabama to work with a specific producer like years ago.
Yeah, I don't think I did know that. That's great.
Yeah, because have you heard of Brandy Carlisle?
Yes.
I love her sound. So I wanted
In
to
fact,
work
I think you actually turned me on to her sound, if I remember right, because I asked you,
with her.
at one point, what kind of music do you like and are into? And you're like, you gotta check out Brandy Carlisle. And yeah, I dig her. She's rad.
Yeah, that's funny. That was probably like right before I went to go work with Trina, which was someone she worked on one of Brandy's Firewatcher's Daughters, one of the albums she worked on.
Oh,
So
wait, Trina, what's your last name?
Shoemaker.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff that she's amazing.
She's so cool. She's a badass. Like she is just a very, very cool human. And so talented at what she does. So yeah, that was cool getting to work with her. Definitely a highlight of my time in the South. So that was awesome. She produced my first 3 songs, and it was an awesome experience. Went down there with the Waker guys. And yeah, I think that really helped me on my path to discovering my sound here. But I'm trying to think of other like, I don't know, it's just everyone in Nashville is so talented that I just have been blessed to be around so many amazing songwriters and just I mean everyone's amazing. It's crazy.
Well, it's really great, and one of the things I think that I find that's unique about what you do is, um, you write really great melodies that fit the lyrics that you write, and your lyrics are wonderful in my mind because they're simple yet profound. Like they say a lot, and I'm kind of curious how you got your lyrical voice, how you kind of found that.
Thank you. My lyrical voice. I'm trying to so I think a lot like how I view songwriting is more so like receiving, if that makes sense. Like I feel like a lot of songwriting, at least my songs that I end up liking the most are kind of like they just come out all at once, and so I don't even like think too far into them. For me, it's more so like therapeutic a lot of the time. And so I don't know, like I'm sure it's probably an accumulation of like things I read growing up and just having a deep perspective in general and having like valuing truth and vulnerability and I just like talking about those things. And so I feel like that just kind of comes out in my lyrics. And it's also like Out of Commission was literally like in those lyrics, it's a way to, that's just how I was feeling that day. So that's why it
Yeah.
came out that way. Like I literally spilled coffee on the ground, which I talk about.
That's hilarious.
I was pissed because I was trying to write a song every day with my co-writer, and we were trying to we couldn't think of a subject that day. So I literally spilled coffee, and then I was like, I'm out of commission today. I just can't do it. And then it just like flew out. So, I don't know. I hope
that is how that is. I find the same thing when I'm writing, like the lyrics, they don't come, they don't come, they don't come, they don't come, they don't come. Then there it is all at once.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's fabulous. So let's talk a little bit about Out of Commission. I mean, it's such a great tune. And I want to talk about some of the production elements, but first let's start with the bare bones. Like how did you kind of talk about how it kind of happened and that all happened at once. What about the music and the structure of it? How did that all work out?
Yeah. So after a song is like born, just that's how I like to talk about it. So I guess after a song is born and out there, then I feel like I take a step back from it and I'm looking at it as like, okay, what does this song need? Like it's now has a life of its own, and like, what does it need? And so then I try to detach myself from it and just think like, okay, this is what I'm hearing. And I try not, a lot of the time I'll be like, oh no, that's not indie folk. Oh no, that's not alt country, whatever. Because it's hard because we get stuck in those boundaries of genre. And
Oh, it's so true.
Yeah, it's really hard sometimes because it's like, this is who I am, but it's like, no, you have to serve the song. And so for Out of Commission, I feel like I worked with Ryan on this a lot, Ryan Ladd, who was my co-writer, co-producer. Um, and we were like just trying to figure out what this song needed. And Ryan really pushes me a lot, and he was like kind of challenging me because I was a little worried about the whole like having like saxophone come in, like all these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just trying to serve the song. So I think
Oh, it was such a cool that was, and I wanted to ask you about that because that is such a cool moment for me as I was listening to it. It really had almost a Sergeant Pepper's vibe to it,
oh,
kind of a that kind of low down New Orleans band thing going on. It was a really cool moment that is very unusual in that style of song, but it fits the song perfectly. I was wondering how that all happened.
thank you. Well, part of it is just having such a talented saxophone player slash just like woodwind instrumentalist on like hanging out in our group of people that we know. Like Alex Matthews is his name, and he's just amazing. So we're like, oh, let's call Alex and see see what he's thinking on this one. So that was part of it, but also I think we just felt like, I don't know, like since we wrote the song, we were really obsessed with the idea of like a marching line at the end in the music
Yeah.
video. Like this song, since its birth, sorry, it cracks me up too when I say birth. Um, since it came into the world though, like we were like, picturing the music video like so clearly. And so we felt like almost because the music video picture in our mind that it needed like a fun like saxophone at the end, and we wanted it to
It's
feel
almost like an anthem march. I mean, it's really, and it's funny, and it does. It feels it's low key. It's like chill, but it's like, hey, we're all out of commission together, brother.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so cool that that came across. That was, like, totally the goal. So,
That's great.
that's
That's fun. Um, and so you're in the middle of and at what point do you feel like, hey, there's actually something here that could be really cool, that could be really fun. At what point in the songwriting or with this particular song did you think, was that the beginning or as it's coming together? Like, how did that happen?
um, I would say when we could picture. So, actually, it's funny, I was between 2 songs, either Comes in Waves, which is not in the world, like, I haven't released it yet, or Out of
Mhm.
Commission, and I wanted to work with IAPMD Global, and they represent like, they're like a resource for people who have period disorders, and that's really what the song is about too, is about that. But so I knew I wanted to work with them, and I knew I wanted to release a song about mental health, and I was like, "Well, I got a bunch of those thanks to COVID and thanks to period disorder," And so I was like, definitely gonna do Comes in Waves, but it wasn't done. But Out of Commission was more so done, and I could picture the music video for it. And so we just totally turned like, and it was like a week before. Like we're insane when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like we should not have made the deadline like that, but we had to get it out for World Mental Health Day, which was October 10th. So it was like crazy deadline. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're just like, you know what? Actually, it was me. I was like, let's switch. We're doing the other one. And I never had a feeling of like, oh, this could be something cool. I other than it getting caught in my head a little bit, which I was like, okay, that's good. But no, I never had like assurance really. In fact, if anything, I felt nervous because I thought it was so weird. And but I've come to realize that that feeling of like, oh, I feel nervous about this song is actually a really good feeling because I've had that with other songs too, where I'm like, wow, this is kind of like, this is a little weird. Like, this is kind of pushing the boundaries. And so now I'm come to recognize that feeling is a good feeling and kind of a sign of growth. And also just, I think, a sign that it's like, I think vulnerability and risk is good. So, yeah.
That's what a great insight. That's really true. It's almost like that uncomfortable feeling is the doorway that we need to go through in order to you know, to find the things that we really want and it's the last battle before we can let it go in a way.
Yeah. And I was definitely like, really confused about the whole thing, especially at the music video shoot when I was like, all right, guys, we're gonna like take these fishing poles and we're gonna do jazz squares. And they're like, what? Like, this is
That's awesome.
yeah. It was definitely all just a real like, it was fun. It was a blast. Like, we had a blast, but, the whole time I was like, "Man, this is really weird."
Wow.
So
I can imagine. I mean, you see the video and it makes so much sense, but I can imagine that shoot people going, huh? What are we
yeah.
doing?
Yeah, because I didn't even tell them, like, really any of the vision, and we all just showed up, and then I was like, "All right, this is a jazz square, here's a fishing pole, and let's go." So, I
Oh,
feel
that's
they were
great.
troopers, though. So
Well, again, this is And If Love Remains. I'm Mike Levitt. I'm on with Grace Gonzalez, and her new song "Out of Commission" is out. I want to talk a little bit about the. You mentioned it was the purpose of it was what is it? IMP.
it's
I apologize.
I
IAPMD.
It's okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a long acronym.
Yeah, it is.
So, talk a little bit about that because I know you have a you're working with them and
Mhm,
what's that all about? What is it and
mhm.
how should people be aware? Why should people be aware of it?
Yeah, so IAPMD is International Association for Premenstrual Disorders. And so basically, the reason that I reached out to them was because I have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is a period disorder that it's kind of like a neurobiological abnormal reaction to your hormonal fluctuations. So basically, it's way more intense than PMS, which just
Right,
it's like a total mood shift, and, like, demeanor change in a person before their period, and sometimes it goes during into part of the period too, then goes away, and they're like it's almost like waking up from a bad dream or just being like, "Wow, I was feeling those things, like, that's so not me." I was or for a lot of women, it's like manifests in anxiety, depression, and even a lot for a lot of people too, it's not just women, it's also, others. So,
right.
it's also, like, suicidal ideation and just really a lot of darkness, and so, I wanted to help bring awareness to PMDD and also premenstrual exacerbation, PME, because I think I was diagnosed actually in 2017, so I think it was, like, right after was that when I met you? I'm trying to think, like
I think it was right in that time period.
yeah.
Yeah, when I met you.
Yeah, so I had withdrawn from school for it in 2017,
Right.
and I think I met you, like, when I was in Arizona kinda, like, figuring out how to, like, deal with it.
In fact, I think that's exact. I didn't know what it was, but I think that's exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, so that's that's crazy. That's literally when I met you. So, I just wanted to I think knowledge is power, and I think raising awareness for something like this is gonna be life-changing for people because if I had known earlier, it could have changed I mean, I don't regret anything, but it could have changed a lot to know that I had this since I got my period when I was 12. So,
Yeah, and I think that's. I mean, obviously, insert favorite PMS joke here, right? I mean,
yeah.
a lot of times things can be taken off but this sounds way more serious. It sounds like something that people need to be aware of and be sensitive
Mhm.
to, and it's more than just having a bad day it's I can't imagine what that would be like to both understand that you know in a cyclical term like once a month you're gonna feel something that is horrible and you're gonna have to deal with it every month. I mean, I can't even imagine what that must be like.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I'm thankful that, with self-care, mindfulness, and, like, learning tools to deal with it that I've gotten like, I've learned how to deal with a lot of it. There obviously are still terrible cycles, and at this point, there's no, like, "cure," quote, unquote. There's things that work for some people, things that don't work for others. There's just not enough research behind it, and so the goal, I think, behind Out of Commission is to not only raise awareness, but also we're trying to raise money and, for research. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the goal.
And it is. I mean, it's a hormonal thing. It's a physical thing that takes you over. Is that right?
So, it's not necessarily a hormonal imbalance. That's not to say that everybody with PMDD doesn't have that, but it's not a hormonal imbalance. It's actually like uh it's very it's so it's an abnormal reaction to your hormonal fluctuation.
Mm,
Some people say it's almost like having an allergy to your hormonal fluctuations, which is
okay.
interesting, but they're still trying to figure out things on it. I think it's just like, yeah, a lot of research still needs to be done. It's just, but it's crazy. There's like a lot of support groups on Facebook and stuff where it's crazy to see like people who have had similar experiences to me. And yeah, it's cool. But IAPMD is a really great resource. They have so much information on their site. They have doctors like in whatever area you're in that you can reach out to. And they've just been awesome with collaborating on this whole release. And yeah.
So how would, if somebody feels like if they're struggling with something like this, like how would they go about finding help? What would they do?
Yeah. So I would first of all recommend going to iapmd.org because they have a lot of resources on their site. Obviously, you can always message me and I'll help you in any way I can, like direct you to specific resources. But also, they have peer support on their page. They have, I mean, you can always, they have like, I'm trying to think. I'm actually like, they have they even have like a for patients part of their website. So you can literally click on it and it has a bunch of resources. Yeah, they have a lot. They have a blog. They have like all these things. So I'd recommend going there. I'd recommend joining Facebook groups if you're on Facebook because you can ask questions. You can search through past posts and see what's been working for people. And yeah, just like really using resources online has been like my main thing that I would say
And,
there.
and can I also mention that if you're a partner of someone that you feel may struggle with this, and get information and find out also, so I can only imagine as a partner, that's got to be a struggle as well, and how you can help support them.
Yeah, definitely. Like you mean like with my boyfriend or like that kind of stuff?
Right, your boyfriend or your husband or a parent, especially if somebody's young and is really struggling, like if I guess if somebody's struggling, a lot of times we don't know what the cause is, and trying to figure out that, to me, that would be the scariest thing. Like once you figure out what it is,
Mhm.
that's a whole other level of like, but it's not knowing.
I know.
The unknown is always so much more scarier than the known.
Oh yeah. No, I was so happy to hear there was like something that I could call what I was struggling with. Like once you get like a definition, you really have more power to learn how to heal. And so, yeah. No, I totally agree. And there's actually also a Facebook group that has support for loved ones of people who have PMDD because yeah, that's like a whole roller coaster too. Like I definitely have a lot of uh respect for my boyfriend for like obviously he knows I don't choose to suffer from PMDD, but I know it's difficult too to be a
Right. It's still something that you I mean, if you love somebody, you get, you struggle, you suffer together, you struggle together,
totally. Oh, totally. Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
um, so let's and also for everybody, there will be a link in the show notes for anybody who would like more information or would like to donate. Talk about, yeah, you started the song, and then or you released a song, and then you started this fundraiser for PMDD. Was that in coordination? Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, for sure. We were thinking together we could try to raise money and around this like using the song as a catalyst for that, especially the music video to kind of, get eyes there. So that was our goal together and we're still working on it. We're actually planning to have merch and we're going to split the proceeds from that. So like if you buy merch, it will go to them as well, part of it.
That's great.
So yeah, out of commission merch.
Which we all need a little bit of that sometimes. And I want to tell people, like, when you listen to the song, it is such a fun song. It is adorable. And I also want to ask you, okay, this is where my ears go. I'm listening to the song and I can hear a lot of the things that you're doing. Is there a part where like you're pulling things out of tune. I mean, it's like, I don't know what it is. It feels like it's so perfect with what's going on in the sound, but there's like this melange of maybe it's just you know what I think it may just be the guitar, the I'm sorry, what am I thinking of? The steel guitar kind of like moving, you know, through the chord progression, but it just sounds so neat and so fun. I'm curious about what kind of production did you put into that?
Yeah. So are you talking about like the second chorus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I noticed that too. And I was like, do we keep that? Like, what is that? And we just kept it. I don't even know exactly.
Well, you know, it feels like an out of tune is not the right tune. It's almost like it kind of phases like it feels like your ears just kind of go, wow.
Yeah. No, I
It
think
does that sort of a thing.
no, I totally agree. And I'm like, okay, what the heck is that? So I don't even know exactly
It's
what.
just a happy accident.
Yeah, it was a happy accident. We're like, all right, we're keeping it. So
Totally fits with the song because I can, you know, that I know when I'm feeling out, that's kind of, you know, it's that kind of people are strange feel to it, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, for sure.
So
That's cool that you got that from it because that's definitely something that we noticed too. We're like, okay, that's really interesting. So
yeah, it was cool. It was cool. But it is the sound is top notch. It sounds really good. You put together some really good musicians for this.
oh, they're so good. Yeah. Yeah, it was like, let's see, it was the dudes from Waker. So like Alex Matthews, Ryan McClanahan, and then Ryan Ladd, who also was writing. Ryan Ladd also wrote with me and I produced it, mixed it. He's also my boyfriend, side note. And then,
Yeah, an inside track there.
yeah, and then let's see. And then Matt Cleaborn was on it as well. He is a great guitar player, great pedal steel player. And then yeah, and then actually the girls who were in the music video were not on the track, but they're awesome musicians too. Well, one's a music manager, but they're some of my closest friends, and it was just like a really cool crew, honestly.
It sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, it does. It sounds like you're having a ball putting the song together,
Yeah.
and the video is a lot of fun. You can find it. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Facebook. That's where I saw it first. Also, pimp your Instagram account. Because my understanding is that's the best place for people to find information about you.
Yeah, my Instagram handle is at Grace Gonzalez Music, so I post on there probably more consistently than Facebook. I like Instagram a lot. So I'm actually doing an Instagram live tomorrow.
Oh, right on.
Although I don't know, I'm pretty sure this won't be out by then.
Well,
I didn't think
so
it through.
it probably will be out. You'll probably be doing it today.
Oh,
Today's Tuesday, so yeah, I'll release it tomorrow on Wednesday. So,
yeah.
what time will that be?
6 p.m. Central Time.
All right, so that'd be October 28th, 2020, 6 p.m. Central Time. There'll be a live Instagram. What is it? Live Instagram feed?
I'm doing an Instagram live with
Instagram.
IAPMD. So we're just,
Okay.
I don't even know everything we're doing. I know we're going to talk about PMDD though. So if anyone's curious to learn more about that too.
Great opportunity. Great
Mhm,
opportunity.
mhm.
So, what's next with you, Ty? What's in the future? What plans do you have? I know you have other songs. You always have all the other songs ready to go,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what's coming up next for Grace?
Yeah. So we have, let's see, I guess I have one song that, well, I have a few, man, I'm debating. I think it's going to be,
Something's going to be coming out
yeah.
sometime soon.
No, that's true. I likely will be dropping a single in November, which is pretty soon, I guess. Another one just because it's ready to go. And other than that, I am just planning on releasing a bunch of other singles as well as we go into the new year, 2021, and more music videos. So that's kind of the goal. And
That's
just
great.
yeah, and I guess
What
no touring.
Let's talk a little. In fact, I have a question for you. We talked a little bit about this off the air. Like, So how has COVID affected your scene? So you have like the overall scene, the whole, kind of music scene out there in Nashville, but then also there's like your own creative space and that kind of feel. So let's start with like the overall. I mean, obviously there probably hasn't been concerts or hasn't been, outdoor shows so how's that affected you guys?
Man, it's been really difficult to see because like most of my friends are musicians, and the entertainment field and hospitality field were like,
Oh, it's
destroyed,
yeah.
like literally destroyed by COVID. And so I'm seeing like most of my friends are on unemployment, and just still kind of struggling to figure out what the next moves are. Like I have some friends who they literally just make their income like touring with big name acts in the
And
summer.
they're all there's nothing going on.
Yeah, there's nothing going on. So thank God for unemployment, honestly, for a lot of my friends. But yeah, no, not really many shows. There are just some outside socially distanced shows that are popping up around Nashville, like just like some industry people go, that kind of stuff, but nothing really big anymore. I mean, we see some of the bigger acts transitioning to like drive-in theater shows, but as like an artist at my caliber, like I can't really, I mean, that would be difficult to do, So it's kind of like an
Right.
interesting.
Well, and even then, it's so low. Like when a big artist is doing that, it almost is difficult because there are so people don't understand how many jobs and how when a big act is on tour, how that how much. Or let me put it differently: when a big act stops a tour,
Mhm.
how that affects so many people in so many ways.
Yeah.
We're talking about the band, we're talking about roadies, we're talking about the crew, we're talking about managers, we're talking
Yeah.
about venues. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a killer, and
Yeah.
it makes me so sad that that, and it's really not people, it's government that has somehow decided that music isn't quite as important in people's lives as other things, and it makes me sad because it's just not true.
Mhm. Mhm. No, for sure. And it's been, I mean, yeah, it's been difficult to see, and it's so true. Like so many jobs are impacted. I've seen a lot of people who were on the road, like as roadies with bigger acts too, just posting like, okay, we're screwed too. Like, what do we do? And yeah, it's just sad to see a lot of people like not know what to do next. And also a lot of small venues that Nashville holds like near and dear to
Right.
my heart, like Douglas Corner, closing their doors after like for Douglas Corner, I think they were open for 33 years.
That's terrible.
And yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to see all of this happening. And that's honestly what hits really hard is those tiny venues that are like the heart of Nashville. Like that's,
Yeah.
that's where people see some of the best up and coming artists. That's where the up and coming artists have an opportunity to play. Like
Oh,
that's
and
the
that's
heart of
so,
Nashville.
man, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's the other thing is all of it stops people's careers on their track, and if
Mhm.
when those places shut down, like what do you do? I
Right.
mean, now I mean, there isn't a place for people to perform, because you're
Mhm.
either going to be a big act and you're going to make people a lot of money, or
Mhm.
you're going to be a nobody and play for nothing. And so there's no place to kind of like have that,
Mhm.
um, get seen, get noticed, and start a career. That just breaks my heart.
Totally. And also it's hard for like I've definitely been talking to a lot of people in the industry, and it's like artist managers are not taking on new clients right now. Like even if they love you, they're not going to take you on as a client. Like,
Right.
like they
The
just
risk is
can't.
too high.
Exactly. And so it's been interesting too because obviously when tragedy like this happens, people are forced to adapt and think of new things. And so I am excited to see where that leads people. But and
Well, and think about like your partnership, obviously like that, um, your partnership with IAPMD,
Mhm.
that's not that you wouldn't have done that anyway, but now that becomes, something that's very important in a way that you can be noticed for, in a different way, I guess, than the normal avenues.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, I think it's interesting to see what a lot of artists are doing like online too. I'm sure you've about TikTok and like,
Right.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen like crazy results from TikTok for some artist friends that I know of, like just going on there and talking about their songs, and then their like videos are blowing up and getting more than 1 million views or whatever, and then their
Well, that's
Spotify
good.
is directly impacted. So that's an interesting avenue that
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people take. And yeah, I think people are just going to be forced to get more creative, and also a big focus on sync, which is, I think,
Yes, that's
where
the future, right?
I want to focus anyways, because I've had some success there. And yeah, so
That's cool. That's really good. What and yeah, that's a whole other topic of discussion that'd be fascinating to go down.
yeah.
Um Oh, and I had a question. So, okay. So some things are coming out in November, be
Mhm,
2020. Oh, that was the other question as far as COVID, like for you personally, in
mhm,
not necessarily like the marketing or the business side of things,
mhm,
but as a, from a creative standpoint, having the time, being able to put out songs, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing.
mhm.
Sometimes, we all need a little pressure, and sometimes the pressure will stop the creative process. So for you, how's COVID affected your songwriting, your creative aspect?
Ugh, COVID has been great for that. Like, honest,
I hear that.
um, COVID quite just honestly stopped me in my tracks and made me think, okay, what are you doing? Like, why are you going in the circle of, like, artists are great at self-sabotage. And so I think,
That's the truth.
yeah, and I'm great at it. Like, I know I've been very good at self-sabotage. So I think COVID, like, presented this crazy theme of like uncertainty, and it forced me to think, what do you really want out of this life? Like, how are you going to use the talents that I feel like, God gave me and stuff like that. And so it forced me to think and like deal with the fact. I mean, it also forced everyone to think about mortality, really.
Hmm.
And so I was like, wow, our time is not promised. Our time is very short. And I just think it forced me that, and that really inspired me, while also sent me down an existential like crisis slightly. But like, I think
That always leads to the best material.
exactly. So it's been great, and really having time. And now I do want to get back into this, but Ryan and I were trying to write every day, like literally every day. So that was awesome. And then having like, I mean, literally forced to sit alone with your thoughts, like that's kind of a creator's dream and nightmare. So like, it's been awesome. And I think that we've gotten a lot of content from that. And yeah, it's been really good. It forced me to take things to the next level creatively. It forced me to invest in myself too. It was I bought an awesome mic like right as COVID started, because I'm like, who knows how much time I get on this earth, I'm going to invest in my music career. I don't know. It's
Right
been
on.
great. But what I'm curious about for you too.
Oh, you know what? It's been fascinating. I've definitely had to get more creative, figure out different avenues
Mhm.
to make music, to find ways to get my music, heard and seen. And
Mhm.
and part of it was this podcast, and that was a kind of a happy accident. Um, Definitely, I would for sure say that if COVID didn't happen, this podcast wouldn't be here.
Mhm.
And because it forced me to think like, what am I trying to do? And for me, I want to talk to smart people. I want to talk to interesting people, and have really cool conversations, and try to work out together, because it is kind of a community. I feel like
Mhm.
work out together. How we can make a difference in each other's, and in the and I don't even think about it in terms of like, trying to fix the world or trying to change the world. I think in terms of like, if one person hears this podcast and then listens to your song and then thinks, oh, if it touches them or moves them, or helps them in any way, like that's all that really matters, is that one person. And,
That's cool.
and so that's kind of been my focus, is even musically, like, what am I really trying to do, and as long as I think, if you're reaching for the brass ring, that's like the wrong, your ladder's going up the wrong the wrong wall.
Mhm.
It's more about trying to like that's what I really appreciate about your music, actually, is that it is about being vulnerable and trying to communicate to the world something interesting and new that can only be communicated by you. And in that way, it's like that song Out of Commission could not be brought about in any other way than the experiences that you had and in the way that you had. And it could not be, it's on, and that's what makes art. Art is true honesty. And whether you're playing a Rachmaninoff concerto, or you're or writing a song, or painting painting a picture, all those things, it's all about being true and honest and communicating something to the world that reveals something about you and about the human condition that couldn't be done in another way.
That's so cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
So obviously I've been thinking about existential thoughts too.
Like, if you haven't, have you really confronted COVID?
Right.
Like, I would be very concerned if people have not been.
Right. No, absolutely. Cause it does. It kind of brings everything in focus of like, what are we trying to do? Like, what's this whole thing all about?
Totally.
And, so that's an interesting thing. Well, again, this is Mike Levitt, and If Love Remains, I'm with Grace Gonzalez, a friend of mine, a singer, songwriter, amazing person. You can hear just her personality. She's just so much fun. And I hope you'll check out her song, Out of Commission. Check her out at Grace Gonzalez Music. Is that right?
Yeah.
On Instagram?
Perfect.
At Grace Gonzalez Music on Instagram and on Facebook. And hey, let's do this again.
Yeah.
Please, let's do it soon.
Yeah, this has been awesome. It's seriously been amazing talking, and I feel like we're on very similar pages about everything, and with COVID and music, and yeah, it's been a blast.
It has been. We should do a collab. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. Well, and If Love Remains, this is Mike Levitt. You can check us out, www.andifloveremains.com. We do have merch, but the most important thing that you can do is share this. Share if this interview touched you, if you like the music that Grace is putting out, share that. And let's get the word out. Let's get great art and great music out in the world again. Thank you very much. See you next time.